Perfect, thank you. Welcome, everyone. Nice to see all the faces around the table this morning or this afternoon. The Brantford Accessibility Advisory Committee is now called to order. The roll has been taken by the clerk. Moving on to number 2 on the agendas. Are there any declarations of conflict of interest for any of the items listed on the agenda? Seeing none. On to number 3, and we have no presentations or delegations today. So number 4, there are 5 items for consideration today. The first item is 4.1, JC Park New Trail and Bridge Replacement Project. The financial impact is none. It's 2024-545. And I will ask staff to come forward and provide an overview of this item, please.
Is there any stuff online? Christian Bean online? Okay. Maybe let's hold that and see if maybe they're having technical difficulties in a few minutes.
Yeah,
And we'll go back to that at the end.
I'll defer that.
Okay.
So we will move on to 4.2. Provincial Offences Administration and Accommodations Project, which is 2024-538. Once again, I'll ask staff to come forward and provide an overview of this item. Yes, thank you.
Through the chair. Thank you so much. So my name is Amanda Anderson. I'm a project management specialist with the Facilities Capital Development Group under the engineering department. So I'm just going to follow along. There is a presentation right here. Thanks so much. So this is the Provincial Offences Administrative Accommodations Project update. Can you hear me okay? Or am I a little... Okay. So just a little bit of background. So staff report number 2022-717 from December of 2022 was approved by council, which provided direction to initiate the design and construction process for an expanded provincial offences court and administration POA facility to be relocated from the current 102 Wellington Street to the premises leased from Wilfrid Laurier University at 220 Colburn Street. The current POA location at 102 Wellington Street is too constrained in terms of both space and accessible features to continue to function as a courthouse and administrative offices. So the creation of a new modern courthouse facility will also allow Brantford to explore further shared service opportunities, as well as a partnership with Wilfrid Laurier University to advance the educational opportunities. Now I'm just that one right there. Okay, that's perfect. Thank you. So some design considerations. So the facility will consist of the following. So there will be public areas, which consist of an entry vestibule with security screening, public library and waiting area with universal men's and women's washrooms.
It's lobby, not library.
Lobby. Did I say library? Oh, I'm sorry. 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 Public lobby. I wanted to say it again. Courtrooms, justice of the peace area, police area with a new Sally port, staff area, administrative penalty system and administration area, prosecution area. And all of these areas have been designed to Ontario Building Code, Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act, and Facility Accessibility Design Standards criteria.
Can you tell me what a Sally port is?
We will get there. I've got drawings. Yeah, I've got drawings that will show you exactly what it is too. Yeah. Just
We'll save questions to the end of the presentation.
Oh.
So what we have on the screen right now is the overall proposed floor plan. And this floor plan criteria includes general parking, accessible parking, public.
I bet you it's on auto. You know what auto? The slideshow is probably like on a slideshow.
Oh.
So I think we have to like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't
Sorry.
Stop.
No, that's sorry. No, that's okay. No worries. So also public and staff entrances and other amenities. To the next. So what's up on the screen right now is the site plan, and the site plan includes a general parking area, barrier-free parking locations for POA staff, with barrier-free staff entrance with ramp to the facility. The barrier-free parking locations include a type A and a type B, and it encompasses 20% of the total parking spaces, which is 10.
Going too fast.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, that's great. So now what's up on the screen is, and the next slides will go through the floor plan of different sections within the building. So the first one that we're looking at right now is the entrance vestibule, which comes with power door operators. There's security screening, public lobby and waiting area, gender inclusive universal public washroom with power door operators, a men's and women's public washroom, and they are all OBC, AODA, and FADS compliant. So the next slide, we are looking at typical mounting heights. So the mounting heights of fixtures and accessories within all the washrooms, and they are all OBC, AODA, and FADS compliant as well. So the next slide, so we're gonna get into, we've broken it up into the public accessible spaces and then the staff accessible spaces. So what we're gonna get into right now is the public accessible spaces. So we're gonna look at floor plans of public accessible spaces, which include the entry vestibule and security screening, the waiting area, washroom and intake courtroom, lobby and service wickets, courtroom 1 and 2, and interview rooms. So the first publicly accessible spaces that we will look at, that is up on the screen right now, is the entry vestibule and security screening. So some accessible features include power door operators. The metal detector gate is 38 inches wide to accommodate wheelchair access, and signage will include Braille. Yeah, one.
One more? Sorry.
That's okay, no worries. There we are, right there. Okay. What's on the screen now is the publicly accessible spaces, which include the waiting area, washroom, and intake courtroom. The accessible features are universal public washroom, wheelchair spaces in the waiting rooms, and a ramp to the exit corridor. What's next on the screen is the lobby and service wickets, and some accessible features here are power door operators and wheelchair accommodating wickets. The next one on our screen is the courtroom 1 and 2 and interview rooms. Some accessible features are power door operators. Each courtroom has been designed to accommodate wheelchair turning radius, and there's multiple screens for the hearing impaired. Now, what we are getting into is the floor plans for the staff accessible spaces. So what's on the screen at the moment is the prosecution offices, and some accessible features here is that all offices accommodate wheelchair access, and there are power door operators on the screening rooms. Next on our screen is the staff accessible spaces, including the APS offices, workspace, and service wickets. And some accessible features here are that all rooms accommodate wheelchair access and there are power door operators. Next on our screen is the meeting and training rooms. So some accessible features here. We've included workspaces that accommodate wheelchair access. There's power door operators, and there will be screens for the hearing impaired. That one? I think it's the one before that. Yeah, one right before that. No, I think that was after.
You want me to go forward or back?
Back, please. I think it's 2. Oh, no, right there. Sorry. Okay, perfect. Thank you. The next on our screen is the staff area that includes the washrooms and the lunchroom. So some accessible features include lunch tables that accommodate wheelchair access, and there's a universal washroom. I'm jumping ahead. The next staff accessible space is the police area and the Sally Port. And the accessible features here include a prisoner cell, which accommodates wheelchair access.
Sally Port is like it's a structure where the vehicle drives into a garage, basically. It's a garage where they can transfer prisoners.
You know why it's called Sally?
No idea.
Same as 44 Queen Street.
Yeah, 44 Queen
They
Street.
never had an interior for the Superior Court, but for 44 Queen Street, they have a Sally Port.
Okay, interesting.
I've been in it.
Mhm.
For 2 of them.
And
Oh, right.
lastly, the last staff accessible space is the Justice of the Peace area. And some accessible features here are that all areas accommodate wheelchair access and that there are power door operators. So in conclusion, the proposed POA renovations to the existing facility at 220 Colburn Street will be an asset to the city of Brantford, and they will provide accommodations to allow for the expansion of POA operations, updating the facility to current building code compliance and the accessibility for Ontarians with Disability Act requirements, as well as present an exciting opportunity for the city to explore a unique educational partnership with Wilfrid Laurier University. So the POA renovations are currently in the tender phase with a scheduled construction start date of later in September 2024, with the completion of construction and opening of the facility currently anticipated for fall of 2025. Are there any questions?
Yeah, I have a question with reference to the parking that was approved in 2015. That is not complete because the permits, they put the permits on hold because it was a monetary issue. I've been talking to Service Ontario again, and they don't even know what to say anymore. They want me to write. I've asked City Council, some people, if they could help me write to them, because it's not like there was supposed to be permits. The regular permits, leave them alone. They're all for people with a blind spot, that they need the space. It was meant to be for people that need an aid to exit and enter the car. They can have the wide spots. Then there is regular spots for people with invisible disabilities, and those invisibility people should be able to get a permit of a different color. That was the whole program for the 2015 thing, and the thing is, it's never been finished. I dealt with Dave Levac on that, and he was super good, and it all fell down the, you know.
I think she's asking.
Pardon me?
I think she's wondering about like what she just proposed to the table for the building.
The point is that if we're going to make parking for the way, whatever, and it's the permits have not been issued for the people with the invisible disabilities to separate them from the big spots, that they can have regular spots, closed spots. That's what it was all meant for, rather than using up the big spots with invisible disabilities.
Yeah,
And the
good.
people.
Yeah, good points, all very good points, but let
Yeah.
me just do 2
Yeah.
points of order here, if I may.
Yeah.
First of all, could I get the Brantford panelists to change your name, please, up on the screen so we know who you are?
Is that me? Sorry.
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Okay, I can do.
And just before we go any further, I'd like to put this item
I know.
on the floor for discussion, if I may. So could I have a mover and a seconder to place the motion on the floor, and then we can have further discussion?
I'd like to.
Oh, yes, thank you, Mark. And Madison, is Madison allowed to participate? Yes, thank you very much, Madison. Okay, now further discussion on the construction of the POA courts. Yes, Madison.
Was that the Sally Port is separate from where the public parking is?
No, it will be in the parking lot. So are you able to?
It is separate from the public parking lot, but it's within a gated area for the POA staff.
Oh, it's gated.
Yes.
I'm just wondering because history serves locally for the Superior Court. They do like to break out, and that is just cause for concern to general public.
Yeah, so there is two sections to the parking lot. And yes, as Gord mentioned, there will be a gate. So the one section will be staff only through the gate, and that will be where the Sally Port is located, is
That
through the
makes
gate and the staff area. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Mark, you have a question?
Yeah, it's interesting that they call it a Sally Port, I didn't remember that. Change of elevation, is there for people with low vision gonna be, color differences in the either painting or in the building? A tactile difference if there's a ramp or if there's a upcoming, doorway, as far as lighting and the reflection of the color of the floors to make it easy for people that are low vision.
Yes, there will be, and there actually is discussion right now in the courtrooms for that specific area. Because, so for instance, the justice of the peace, the millwork, they want to segregate the color. So they've been talking about, behind on the wall, having a completely different color to segregate the colors. So yes, that is discussion that we have been talking about throughout this whole project, is making sure that the color contrast is there for everyone.
And there will be cameras as well.
Sorry.
There will be
cameras.
cameras around the building, like the front doors and.
Yeah, there will be
Everywhere.
security. Yeah, there's security.
Of course. Very good. Well,
Any further questions?
good.
Yes,
What about her comments about,
yes,
that's next?
yes, we will absolutely get back to the comments. Absolutely. I just want to finish with the questions and then we'll get back to this
Oh.
discussion. Absolutely.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes, please, go ahead.
Where's 220 Coleman?
It is, do you know the One Market Mall? So where the.
I know where the Beckett building is.
Yes, so it's
Across
right
the road.
across the road.
Across the road.
So on
Yeah.
Colburn Street, so Beckett,
Is that,
Where OW
Beckett.
is.
Beckett is on the south side of Colburn Street, and
Yeah.
right across the road is right where the 220 Colburn
is
is.
that where the social services is?
Used to be, yeah. They've moved now to the
Oh.
Beckett building. Yeah,
Oh, have they?
they
Oh.
have, yeah. Just
Oh.
recently.
So that's where all of this is going?
Yes. Yeah, so the social services was occupying this space,
Yes.
and they've now moved to the Beckett building and in order to now do the POA where they were.
POA.
The Provincial Offenses Administration.
Oh. There was, one floor at 233 Coburn was the, probation officers. Are they gonna be moved to the 220 to work in conjunction with 220, like all in the same building?
I'm not sure. That would be more of an operations question.
Oh, okay,
The actual POA operations, that I'm not sure.
okay. It all sounds very nice.
Okay, no further questions. Do you have any questions online? Any comments? No? Okay, back to the discussion about parking.
That parking is not complete. because the permits haven't been issued and that was put on hold in 2015. I've been, in touch with them from time to time, and then the COVID came and it was been holding off, and it was a monetary issue. I went to Bauma's office, I handed them the file and I said, I'll keep my copy and can you work on that with me? And now it says, they said, because they're not David Vack's office, they are a different party. They don't want to have anything to do with it.
Okay, so this discussion is separate and apart from the new proposed POA offices. Am I understanding your question correctly?
Well, I think we need to finish the process on that we can legitimize that whole parking deal, that you're gonna have these calculations done on how many wheelchairs, how many most people park in parking lots, the Service Ontario.
They've got the parking lots.
Hey,
They've got the parking lots all set out. She's got it all organized.
but the thing is, the permits don't coincide with that, because everybody has a black permit, so even people with invisible disabilities can take the big spots, which are the closer ones, and that would accommodate the wheelchair ones more so in a way that they end up losing, basically. That's what it's all about, because then the misuse is using the big trucks and whatever pull in, not because they got a permit, they automatically feel they can park in there and run into the store.
Would this be a federal or?
No, this is a provincial, it
This
was
is a
all,
provincial matter, not municipal?
no,
I think it would be
Yeah.
provincial, yes.
and the thing is, I was happy that we got that far, because it took a lot of recalculations and considerations and see if it would work and all that. And I have all the letters to support that, but if nobody takes the last step, and I've tried, and if nobody listens to me, I can't do any more about it, because I'm about the only one that knows. It was 2 hours on the phone with Service Ontario. They were transferring the call from place to place to place. And finally they said to me, you have to write in, and they gave me an address, and there you go. So then I phoned Bauma's office and I said, can you help out? You've got the file, you've had it for years now. Can you please help out that we finalize this whole thing?
So what would you suggest the next steps would be?
Pardon me?
What would the next steps be?
That we go back and people with invisible disabilities, they need to go to the doctor and get a different color permit. But that's the government has to direct that first, to come up with a color, let's say a purple, and the post is purple too for the narrow spots. The black ones can park anywhere, because they are needing the big space with the aids to exit and enter the car.
I think that would be a little bit out of our wheelhouse, as this committee is very local.
Yeah, no, I'm
we
just saying,
could-
I like to see full circle, like when you propose all these things, that
Right.
that at least the stuff should be in place to accommodate that.
Right. No, I see what you're saying,
Yeah.
and it's a great idea. We
Yeah.
just have to find someone who can move it forward. Absolutely.
Yeah,
And
Sorry, yes, Madison.
at a previous meeting for, out on Henry Street, where the new, Brant Family and Children's Services building will be, they did have that in place for what they proposed with their parking, where they have the large wheelchair access, and then a color coded for invisible disabilities, which is, we're searching here and we're not noticing that they're large wheelchair access parking spaces and color coded beside it for invisible disabilities, and then regular parking.
So there is something in the works to look
See-
after this situation.
see
yeah.
that, the thing is, I've been trying to find out, and because it's totally impossible, so I tried, I asked one of the councils to help me write the letter, but nobody really,
Yeah,
it's not important, but when you're new developing something, that's when it
Yes.
needs to be in place, because that's where the calculations of big spots, narrow spots come down to.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
we understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
It sounds like something is in the works, so hopefully something can be done about that. I don't know what else we can do at this point, but
Should
yeah,
move
all
on.
good points.
I can write Service Ontario. I'll tell you, like, if it comes to the point that I have to take it upon myself, but the thing is, sometimes I miss the boat too, like,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's better to have a couple of
Yeah,
people.
yeah,
and put-
understandable.
yeah,
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 totally
yeah.
understandable. No, I understand
We
exactly. what you're
need to
saying.
be,
Yeah, Okay, so I'm sorry, can we get back on topic
Yeah,
here? Can we,
Yeah.
sorry, any further discussions or questions on this proposed POA, renovations, construction? Anything further?
Sounds good.
No?
No.
Okay, then, I'll vote then. All those in favor? Do I see any opposed? And that motion is carried. Thank you very much. Appreciate the presentation. Okay, can we go back to 4.1? Do we have staff for that, or are we moving on to 4.3?
Is it supposed to be Christian?
Oh, I thought so.
Okay, Axis.
Okay. Look, carry on, and if there's still no staff, we'll just.
I was just gonna say, I don't have.
Okay, then.
Could have texted.
We'll move on to 4.3 on your agenda. The Wayne Gretzky Sports Center Adult Change Table Project Update 2024-554. And once again, I'll ask staff to come forward and provide an overview of this item.
Good to share. That's myself again.
Hey.
So you're welcome. No, I'm just kidding. You get to hear me talk again. I can just-
Yeah, I don't know, we'll see.
So the primary purpose of this project was to meet the Brantford Accessibility Plan from 2020 to 2025 that was approved by council in the winter of 2020 and outlines the city's strategy to prevent and remove barriers and meet its requirements under the Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act, the AODA. So in the Brantford Accessibility Plan, it was identified that an adult change table was to be installed at the Wayne Gretzky Sports Center as part of the funded accessibility modification projects for future consideration. So design considerations. The project included the supply and installation, of an adult change table inside the 25-meter family change room. The proposed accessible change room includes multiple changing stalls, shower rooms, washroom, and lockers for storage.
Back up, please. On the screen.
No, sorry, one more. All areas have been designed to Ontario Building Code, Accessibility for Ontarians with Disability Act, and Facility Accessibility Design Standards. So we are now looking at the floor plan. So the initial floor plan of the 25-meter family change room, which includes the accessible change room where adult change table was installed. We are now looking at a zoomed in view of the existing 25-meter family change room, which includes the adult change table, new flip-up grab bar, and existing bench. The new accessible change room was built by combining the existing change room and the adjacent stall to provide enough turning radius to meet the city of Brantford FAD's requirements. We are now looking at a site photo of the accessible change room after the installation. So the photos include the adult change table and the bench as well as a wheelchair. The features of the adult change table. So the unit is a Koala Care KB 3000 AHL adult change station. It's a powered height adjustable change table that adjusts from 12 inches to 41 inches from the floor. It can support up to 500 pounds, which is 227 kilograms static load, which exceeds the 300-pound requirement of both the city facility accessibility design standards and the Ontario Building Code. The changing surface of the table measures 75¼ inches, which equals 1,911 millimeters long, and 31½ inches, which equals 800 millimeters wide, and can be opened and closed with one hand. And it also includes a safety rail with a curved dip in the center for easier patient changing by a caregiver. So the next what we are looking at is a video of, you can scroll over in the so the video shows how the adult change table maybe we will be watching it.
Yeah.
So the video did show the operation of the change table, but it's not working at this moment. So in conclusion, the addition of the adult change table at the well, oh my gosh. I
You wanna say
can't
Walter
talk.
Gretzky?
I do. The Wayne Gretzky Sports Center will be an asset to the facility and provide convenience when accessing the facility's pools. The installation of the adult change table at Wayne Gretzky Sports Center is one example of how the city continues to promote dignity, independence, integration, and equality. The feedback from the community has been very positive since it was installed, and it was understood that the change table is being used effectively by the public. Are there any questions?
Thank you so much. Could we have a move for the seconded motion on the floor for discussion, please? Yes, Kelly and Madison. Thank you so much. Questions? No discussion, no questions? Wonderful presentation. Thank you so much. All those, oh, sorry, yes, question?
Why do we discuss this? It's
'Cause-
already been prepared, done.
It's the Accessibility Advisory Committee.
What are we advising?
We're advising the public that it's safe for use and welcome to use.
Or should we not be doing that at the Gretzky Sports Center?
I'm sure they do that as well.
Staff is providing an update of what is proposed, what's going to be done for the public's use and consumption. So we are the ones that are going to say, yes, it's a great idea, or no, we have more questions about this to take to the public. So that's why we have the advisory committee. Yep.
How many-
I don't find this useful at all.
Really, this project has been completed. and
Yes,
It's
well,
being used now.
Well, so what's the point?
Just to make sure that it's all together, it's like.
How many,
No, we're not together because they're talking about
how
your
many
parking.
change tables
No,
are
you-
there? Just
You know,
one?
that's another
Yeah,
story.
one
That's not,
topic at a time.
I know.
This is staff providing an update on projects that they are doing for the city so that the city is aware of what is going on. There are projects that come forward that request your input and guidance. And this is one letting you know one of the many accessible features that the city has provided for the citizens.
So this committee can turn this down?
It's already been completed. This already came forward previously, probably previous to your membership on this committee.
Okay,
So this was already approved. Now the project is completed and now they're just letting you know an update of that it's been done.
Yeah.
So other things on the agenda are looking for your input.
okay.
So as for decorum, you are being addressed through the chair, and once the chair addresses you, then you can speak. We have to keep decorum here.
Yes, Mark.
Has there been, large print signs, slash braille made to advise where the adult change table is?
Through the chair. There's been signs posted on the door of the change room,
Okay,
but I don't recall if there's braille, probably not braille.
that might be something to look into.
Yeah, good suggestion.
Good addition. Thank you, Mark. And Kelly, you had a question?
I just wondered if we're looking at adding a second.
Again, through the chair.
Overdue.
I'm not aware of that. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I recall possibly at the arena side of it, possibly, I think. But from what I understand, this is the only one on the, in the near future for the moment, yeah.
Through the chair, if I can just
Yes.
add to that, any new construction we do, any new builds, any new renovations. As part of the design process, we do look at accessibility features and for universal washrooms, we definitely do put in adult change tables as part of the design process. So going forward, we're doing that now as a regular thing. This is something we're looking back. There are limited funds available to do work, but we're looking at other locations, public access locations. We're looking at those type of accessories to the building.
Cool.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Sounds good.
Any further questions, discussion? Okay, then I will call the question. All those in favor of accepting the report on the accessibility table at Wayne Gretzky Center? And do I see any opposed? And that's carried. Thank you so much. Okay, we will move on to 4.4. And this is the playground rehabilitation projects update. Financial impact is none. 2024-559. And once again, I'll ask staff to come forward and provide an overview of this item.
Good afternoon, committee. I'm Hannah. I am one of the Parks Design and Development Coordinators with the city. Please bear with me here. This is my first time, so bear with me as I move through some of this content. I'm here to provide an overview of the ongoing playground equipment replacement capital program, which was approved by City Council back in 2015. This program aims to replace outdated playgrounds across Brantford to meet current CSA standards, which ensures that our play spaces are both safe and accessible for everyone. So our main focus is to modernize play structures and to improve accessibility in both new and existing playgrounds. So today I'll be walking you through some of the improvements that we've been making and provide updates on 5 key parks currently under construction or in the design phase. So as we go through each park, I'll also share layout visuals to give you a sense of what the new spaces will look like. So now let's take a look at the 5 parks under construction or in the design phase, along with the planned accessibility improvements. I'll also be showing you images of each park before construction began to give context to these changes. So am I able to share content on my end? I believe I am. I can, oh, it says disabled.
Yeah, make her a host, co-host.
I don't show non-video, no.
Her name host, make host.
That's not. You want to email? Do you want to email it to me quick and then you
I
have
can
it?
try. Yeah, I can also go through, like I do describe each of the parks and what they offer, so I can do that, but I'll send them to you quickly. What is your email?
Oh, it's probably easier if I email you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hopefully these files are small enough to send to. Okay, got it.
Is it in the agenda?
Anna,
Yes.
all that's done, I wanted to, it's Mark here. I wanted to really compliment, if it's you and your team that have put it together. I've had the pleasure to open a lot of the parks with my entertainment and balloons and everything. And I love, they've implemented sign language part of the playgrounds. I think that's absolutely fantastic. And the Braille and the color coordination between the playground area and the grass is also very, very appeasing to a lot of my friends that are low vision. So that's been a really positive thing. Green and purple, for example, really, really goes nicely and has been well received by a lot of people. So that's been really, really great.
That's good to hear. We're always trying out new things too. And we always like to, I'm getting off topic here, but we always like to include like new play features like signage with sign language, Braille, all of that kind of thing so that children can learn from a young age. So it's good to hear that feedback. Sorry, I'm just trying to send all of this here.
In the interest of time, do you just want to start and then?
Sure, I can do that. I'll send what I have maybe so far, and then hopefully that's all we need. But yeah, I can just go ahead and start then. So first on the list is Woodman Park, which is located in Ward 4. So I was going to show a photo of the park before we began the work on the new design. The previous park playground lacked accessibility features. There were no paths whatsoever. It's sort of a park just plopped in the middle of a field. So no paths whatsoever, sand underneath the play structures, and all of the playground equipment was sort of on a platform, so just not accessible in any way. So in response to public feedback that we gathered during a survey and open houses in November of 2022, we made some great changes. So we've designed improvements that include a 2-meter wide asphalt pathway that connect all of the amenities to the surrounding sidewalks, a continuous paved loop around the play area, and new rubber surfacing. In addition to this, accessible garden beds will now be a part of the new community garden, and this will be the new hub for the Equal Grounds team. And the play equipment will include a new concept for a wheelchair swing called the WeGo swing, which you may already be familiar with. It's been installed at Dufferin Park. So we'll also be adding new benches along the path, shade shelters, and trees to provide shaded, accessible seating areas. We've also been fortunate to secure federal and provincial grants to help offset the costs of the Woodman Park project. So that will go a long way in supporting the accessibility upgrades and other improvements at the park. Construction for this project is on track to be completed by fall 2024. So I don't know if you received any of those files. Maybe I can try sharing those, but if not, I'll just move on to the next part.
Yet, move on for a minute.
Sure, no problem. So next on the list is Pace Park, which is also in Ward 4. Again, I was going to pop up a photo of the park before construction began. So this is in a new development, Pace Park, located at 44 Pace Avenue. And previously it was just an open space with no developed recreational features at all. And so it was basically just a blank slate there. And based on public feedback collected in February 2023, we are now transforming it into a fully accessible playground. Accessibility improvements include a 2-meter wide asphalt path connecting all of the amenities, a continuous paved loop around the playground and swing areas, ramps leading into the playground areas, and the playground will feature engineered wood fiber surfacing and playground equipment with ground level access, along with new benches, shade structures, and trees. Construction for this project is set to wrap up by fall 2024. I can move on to the next park. Let me know whenever you want me to pause and we can take a look at some photos. Devereux Park is in Ward 5. And again, the playground before construction, like Woodman, Devereux lacked pathways around the playground and access to the playground itself, and featured sand under its play areas, which prevented access to children with mobility challenges. Especially at Devereux, and again, if anyone's familiar with Devereux Park, the perimeter of the site has extremely steep slopes. It's sort of like a bowl, with the playground being at the very bottom. And it was next to impossible for someone with accessibility challenges to be able to access the park. Really, the only way that you could was, there was a staircase, which again is not an accessible access into the park. So in February 2023, we collected public feedback to inform the design. And the improvements include, again, a 2-meter wide asphalt path, paved loops around the playground area, ramps into the play spaces, engineered wood fiber surfacing, and we'll also be installing new playground equipment with ground level play equipment, benches, shade structures, and tree plantings here as well. We also have 2 new accesses into the site through paved trails, so it will now be accessible to anyone in the community. Construction is scheduled also for completion by fall 2024. So I can move on to Iroquois Park, which is also in Ward 5. before. Again, like all of the other parks, they all look very similar. Once again, there were many accessibility barriers. There were no paths, sand-based playground surfaces, and a lot of the playground equipment was on a platform, a lot of this old equipment, and not accessible at all from ground level. So again, after gathering input from the community in February 2023, we've incorporated accessibility features like 2-meter wide paths, ramps into the play area, wood fiber surfacing, new benches, shade shelters, and ground level play equipment, which will enhance accessibility and comfort in the park. Construction for Iroquois is expected to be completed by fall 2024 as well. We have a lot being completed this fall. Finally, Brooklyn Park. So Brooklyn Park is in the early design stages right now. It's located in Ward 1, and the playground is being relocated actually to Steve Brown Park to make room for 2 baseball diamonds at the existing Brooklyn Park. So it's just across the street. Before any of the designs and before construction, again, like all of the other parks, the existing playground lacked any accessible features. It was located very deep into the Brooklyn Park site, making it very hard to access. A public survey for this park will be posted this fall, and construction is expected to begin next year. This design is still underway, as I mentioned, so the drawings that I have are preliminary drawings, and like the other parks, will include some similar items, which are 2-meter wide asphalt path, ramps into the play area, accessible surfacing, ground level play features, benches, shade structures, and trees for shade. So that kind of brings me to the end of the overview of all the playground rehabilitation parks. So I'm happy to answer any questions anyone has, or if you were able to pull up the photos, maybe we can take a look at those.
Thank you, Hannah. That's a wonderful presentation, and I believe that all of your photos were included in the agenda, so I believe everyone has
perfect.
that.
Oh,
So
perfect.
that's wonderful. So if I could have
Awesome.
a mover and a seconder to put this on the floor for discussion and questions. Yes, Madison and Mark. Thank you, Sarah. Yes, Mark, question.
All right, yes, so pertaining to all the parks, it's great that the paths are 2 meters wide, that's perfect. Can you make sure that the garbages in the parks are located somewhere that resembles a continuance of all the parks? And at the end of the benches would be great. And how many garbages are you planning on having? Would be my first question. And the second one is, in the entrance of all the parks, can we make it a tactile plate, if you will, to show the significance of an entrance to the park for those who are totally blind?
Yes.
Cool.
So with regards to the garbage, usually we have 1 to 2 at each park. It depends how large it is. Iroquois Park, for example, is very, very small. You can see on the layout design, so that likely would have 1, but a park as large as Devereux will likely have 2 at each entrance. But we can definitely make sure of that and ensure that each park has a sufficient number of garbage bins there. Tactile plates, we do have them installed at Devereux Park, especially because there is no sidewalk there. So we obviously want to make sure that there is some sort of warning for those who have sight issues, so that they know, that they're going to be going onto the street. We always try to align them with existing crosswalks or stop signs as well. But at Devereux, we have tactile plates installed at the entrances.
Oh, fantastic. And at Peace Park,
Yes.
on Pace Street, I don't know, in my mind, I'm envisioning having a number of cedar trees around to make it like peaceful, East Park type thing? I think
So-
it'd be really cool to see cedar trees there.
Yes, good you brought that up actually. So I believe the Brantford Tree Coalition is looking to do a mass tree planting at some point at that park. So we can always request that and see if they can plant more cedar trees. But there are quite a lot of plantings there. If you happen to pass by, they just did some new plantings, and there's going to be a lot of shade there.
Cool. And the third park that you said was in Ward 5, that you said was originally going down and there was a staircase leading to it.
Yes, Devereaux Park.
Has there been talk about drainage as well so where there's no flooding?
Yes, so we made sure there to tie into the existing infrastructure, so that won't be an issue.
Okay, fantastic. I just don't want anybody slipping on ice or
No.
puddles or anything in being a frustration for people. I think it's fantastic. I don't envision too many. Are there dates specifically led to the grand opening to these parks?
So I'm not 100% sure at this time. I know a lot of these parks are going to be finished this fall. I want to say by November, but I don't want to put that out there because I'm not 100% sure. It really depends, but we're aiming for fall opening.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, Jennifer Middleton is my go-to for all the grand openings. I'm sure she'll let me know because I'm the
Okay.
one that entertains at all of them.
Yes, and I do keep in contact with Jennifer, so yeah, I can definitely connect with her.
Awesome.
Thank you, Mark. Sarah, you have a question?
Hi. I have more of I guess, a question and a comment at the same time. It's Sarah from Vision Loss Rehab. So, I have visited the Dufferin Park, and I love the majority of it, but I have some questions about the colors that were chosen. More specifically, when you're looking at the bigger playground structure, a lot of the bars, they're teal, which is the same color as the ground. So when I'm there, it very much blends in and it really hides the stairs or the railings, just because they are very much the same color. Even like I'm not sure what it's called, but there's like a little swing. It's a spinny kind of ride sort of thing. You would sit on it or stand on it and push around, but it's a very dark in color, and the color that was chosen underneath is also very dark in color.
Okay.
So for children who are low vision, oftentimes I find when I'm out with them, they're not necessarily using their canes in the playgrounds unless they're just getting orientated to it to the like first time sort of thing. But I was really struggling with a couple of people that I was working with just in terms of trying to use the park and the color contrast because it did blend so well. The big playground structures, they're walking up the stairs, the bars, when they look out, it blends with the ground, so it doesn't look like there's any contrast, no depth, no. I'm
Right.
just wondering if that is, I know it might be kind of late, but if there's a way to consider that.
Yes, for Dufferin Park, to be honest with you, I'm not sure at this point. I may defer to Adam on this, but I don't know at this point, just because the park is complete, if there is anything we can really do.
I
But
was just thinking moving forward, sorry, with the other
Yes.
parks, I know this
Yeah.
one's done, and if this is kind of a indication of what the other ones are going to look like, because you said that there's a lot of similar aspects, that maybe
Yes.
there's still time to change the coloring of
Yeah,
some of
so
the.
Woodman Park would be the only one that we're completing right now with rubber surfacing, but we can definitely take that into consideration. That's a great comment. And at this point, the rubber surfacing has not gone in yet, so we can definitely review that and make sure that we don't have that same issue with Woodman Park.
Yeah, I do love how everything seems to have its own section though, so it seems that was great. It was just sometimes the poles blended in with the section that the equipment was in.
Right.
So that becomes
Yeah.
a hazard. So
It's a good point, and especially being so close to the blind school. Yeah. But we'll definitely take that into consideration moving forward.
Great point, Sarah. Thank you so much. And Madison, you have a question?
Just a quick question about the Woodman Park. As the community center staff were mentioning that they were expecting a gazebo, and I didn't hear anything about a gazebo in with the structure plan.
Yes, so are you referring to maybe the greenhouse or? Because there is a gazebo currently in the plan. So there's a few shade structures. There's one in the plaza, which is at the entrance of the park. And then where the community garden is, there is a gazebo there that's been installed. We're also looking to Equal Grounds to eventually install a greenhouse there as well. Because again, it is their new hub. So they're working on that on their end, but we should be seeing that shortly as well.
Okay, yes, I know that it being such a community area as the back of the community center, they were not looking at just having the teens' voices heard about in the colors, but having the pathway and somewhere to sit.
Yes, yeah. And we have lots of places to sit and there's lots of shade there. So there's plenty of opportunity for that in the park.
Awesome, thank you.
Yes, Mark.
Just to let you know, Anna, a quick way to resolve the issue, even if it's pertaining to a park that's done like Dufferin. I'm sure Sarah would agree if you just were to go back and revisit where there is the color on color. Bringing forth the position of putting like a yellow reflective tape or seeing if you can change the color of the rubber. I don't know. That sounds a little bit cumbersome, but yellow reflective tape always goes a long way for people with low vision. So in this case, that might be a nice way to repair that. And then in the future, we can look at definitely like I don't know. The only thing that sticks out in my mind that I've heard a lot of people comment is like the colors that were chosen for the park at Mohawk Park are stellar.
Yes, which is the purple and green, right? The at Mohawk Park. Yeah. That's a good point. Maybe the yellow reflective tape could be a good low cost solution. Unfortunately, ripping out the rubber, I don't believe that would be an option, but doing something like, you know, putting just like a reflective yellow tape on the bottom where the two colors are the same, maybe that could be a good option. So good point.
Good point, Mark. Thank you so much. Any further questions, comments? All right, I'll call the question. All those in favor of this motion, which is 4.4, the playground rehabilitation project? Is there any opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you so much, Hannah.
No problem. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for your work.
Next item on the agenda is 4.5, composition review of the Brantford Accessibility Advisory Committee, which is 2024-489. I will ask staff to come forward, provide an overview of this item, please.
So that's me through the chair, Kristen Demille-Meester, committee coordinator. So on April 30th, the City Council directed staff to facilitate a review of the composition of this committee and the membership of it. So we had met, city staff had met with the chair and the staff liaison, and we reviewed. Currently, the membership of this committee is 8 citizen members, 6 liaison members, and 2 counselors. And we felt that this was sufficient membership at this time, and we are proposing no changes to the membership. So this is before you, so because it is going to the review committee next week, and then it will be before council on October 29th, that we are suggesting no changes. But this is your opportunity if you wanted to have comment or suggestion as to any membership changes. Now's your time.
So if I could have a mover and a secondary to put this on the floor for comments and questions, please. Kelly and Bev, thank you so much. Questions? Comments? Seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none, that is carried. Thank you, Kristen. Okay, consent items.
Oh, we'll go back to Jason.
Oh, sorry, going back to 4.1.
Down on for JC Part? No. Oh, they're on. Okay,
Yes.
perfect.
Perfect. We will go to 4.1 that we skipped over. Park New Trail and Bridge Replacement Project. The financial impact is none, and that's 2024-545. I will ask staff now to come forward and give us an overview of this item.
Good afternoon. My name is Christian Bean. I'm the manager of construction. So this item has been brought forward because we're preparing the design and construction of the JC Park New Trail. This trail redesign is being a connection between Beaver Crescent and the baseball diamonds at JC Park. And it is to replace an existing trail that is neither accessible nor in a state of good repair. So through our design group, we have now prepared the design of a trail that is AOTA compliant. It meets the requirements for an exterior path of travel, and it connects that baseball diamond at JC Park in the sports park parking area to Beaver Crescent. So two options are currently being reviewed during the construction to ensure that what we are building does meet the requirements for providing an accessible walkway and provide that connectivity between neighborhoods. So of those two options, analysis is being performed on the cost benefits, but overall, both of these paths will meet the minimum cross slope of 1 to 50 and have a maximum running slope of 1 to 20. There will be a new bridge that crosses the creek in this location that's being connected. The new bridge will be a 12.7 meter long steel frame structure with a wooden deck, and it'll have a clear width of 2.7 meters to ensure at a minimum we're providing a 2 meter walking area for this exterior path of travel. So staff is recommending that one of these two options be implemented to increase the accessibility to meet the City of Brantford's accessibility policy and to meet the exterior path of travel requirements as outlined in OREG 413-12.
Thank you for that overview. I have a mover and a seconder to put this on the floor for discussion. Yes, Mark, thank you. And Madison. Questions? Yes, Mark.
Is this a bike/walk or just a pedestrian?
Thank you for the question. So this trail will support the usage of bikes and pedestrians on it. We have implemented a number of switchbacks in the trail through the design process to slow down those users who are potentially using bicycles and to essentially provide that shallower grade. So in the event that cyclists are using the trail, these switchbacks will force essentially those users to slow down, to make the turns required and provide a safer experience for the multi-use path users here, both the cyclists and pedestrians.
Thank you.
Are there any garbages in the vicinity?
There are not any garbages along the actual trail itself at this time. There would be garbages at JC Park when you make that accessibility connection to the far side.
I'm just thinking with all the dogs that go along there, it would be good to put in a garbage somewhere along there.
Absolutely, and it's definitely something that we can investigate in the discussion with Parks and Recreation for the addition of one of those facilities there to provide that accommodation.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Any further questions or discussion on this item? Yes.
Where does the trail end at Beaver Crescent?
So on Beaver Crescent, the trail will end right at the corner, tying directly into a sidewalk. It is directly in the middle of Beaver Crescent, and I'm uncertain if I share my screen, is it able to be viewed by the committee?
I don't think we have that capability right now.
Does that come up beside a particular house number?
I will confirm for you right now, yes. It would be coming out of the existing trail exit area, which is in that vicinity of existing residential houses. It would not be adjacent to a roadway. So that would be It would be in between house number 63 and house number 71.
63. Oh, okay.
Are there any lights along the trail?
No lights have been designed or proposed for the trail at this time.
I'm always looking for accessibility, clarity to keep creeps away and to help people with low vision.
Yes, I have a question, someone online, and I'm sorry, you've got Brantford panelist up there. So I'm
Sorry, it's Christian Bean, but apologies that I hadn't updated the name there.
Thank you, Kristen. No, I'm talking, is it Doug? Oh, you're on mute, Doug.
Sorry about that.
Thank you.
Yeah, in looking at the report, it seems to be that the original bridge, now I am relatively new to Brantford. I've been here a couple of years now, so I'm not aware with all the areas, but just in reading through the report, that the original bridge was removed or taken down 7 years ago. Is that correct?
So for clarification on that, the original bridge hadn't been fully removed. However, during OSIM inspections by the city, which is Ontario Structure Inspection Manual inspections, it's a bi-yearly inspection that you do to ensure the continued function of these structures and that they're safe for usage. It was identified that the bridge was no longer safe for the proposed pedestrian usage. So at that time, the bridge was closed, but it was not removed. And that is when the design budgeting commenced for us to implement this new trail with a new bridge. So between that time and now, we've received the appropriate construction funding, completed this design investigation, and are proceeding with building this new infrastructure.
So it's taken 7 years to get the approval for funding on a bridge that we now and previously thought we need to have accessibility to. And it's now a concern 7 years later. So what have they done for the last 7 years for the public to use or utilize the or to address this concern that they now say that they have?
So I believe previously it was fully inaccessible. It was a wood chip trail. It was a very rough bridge that crossed this creek and provided that access between Beaver Crescent and the baseball diamonds. It was not a fully established trail that was paved and had this full accessibility in mind. So at the previous point in time in 2017, even before the bridge closure, it may have provided some pedestrian access from Beaver Crescent to JC Sports Park, but it wouldn't have met that level of service that the city is reaching to meet with its current projects that are ongoing. So the proposal of this new infrastructure is geared towards meeting that requirement and really realize that accessibility requirement to meet neighborhood needs and provide a better walking alternative from traveling around Beaver Crescent and the adjacent streets to get to JC Sports Park.
Has there been that much of a difference in buildup of residential in the areas in use from 7 years ago? Or are we just assuming because the number of population that's growth in Brantford?
I believe just even with the wear down on this trail that was seen back in 2017 and even during the design process, there was a significant amount of use. So it was realizing that this is a route that is used by the adjacent residences and with the closure of the bridge, that usage was obviously eliminated. So it's recognizing there is a need for it. It's just making sure that what we put back in place meets the needs of the public.
But has that been assessed since 7 years ago to know that that is the case going forward at this point?
Since the time of the bridge closure, like at the bridge closure, no additional investigations into the usage have occurred because it's with that closure, no counts can occur on the number of people currently using it. There have been identifications that the trail has continued to be used following the bridge closure. However, the city has done what they can to indicate that the bridge was closed prior to this work commencing.
Okay. I would personally, I'd like to see where we sit 7 years later with this. Because obviously those who are accustomed to using that area and utilizing, access to the bridge previously have found other alternative routes at this point. Now, the trails itself, putting in a better trail, I get that, but whether or not the infrastructure for the bridge is still needed or utilized at this point, may not even be needed.
Right, and I do believe that there was outreach that occurred in the areas, and this was in the design phase, and that is where that need was generated from and through a council report. So it is something we can look into further to find that supporting documentation if follow-up is required into why the project was undertaken.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for that. And yes, Mark.
When is the project set to be done?
So the project is currently scheduled, and Adam, please jump in if I'm missing the dates here, but for approximately October 2024 is when the full completion of the asphalt trail and the bridge will be completed and the contractor will be demobilized.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor? Any opposed? Yes, we have one opposed. That motion is carried. Okay, we shall move on to number 5 on your agenda, consent item. 5.1. Okay. All right. Yes, yes.
Absolutely.
Waiting patiently.
No problem. Through the chair, Nadine Dunlop, Manager of Health, Wellness and Safety. So we just brought this memo forward just to announce that we are bringing Sensitive Santa back to Brantford. So this is something that in previous years we were partnering with the county, and it was occurring in the county's facilities, but we are bringing it back to Brantford, and we'll be hosting it individually by ourselves, and we're excited actually. So it'll be coming to Brantford on Saturday, December 7th at the Sanderson Center from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. There's contact information. We'll be providing public announcements as well so that parents can register their children for this event.
I have a mover and a seconder to put this motion on the floor for discussion, please. Yes, Madison and Doug. Questions? Yes, Mark.
Sorry, what's the event called?
It's called Sensitive Santa. So it's essentially Santa when you go to the mall and see Santa at the mall and takes pictures with the children. This event is designed for children who may have sensory challenges and would be more comfortable visiting Santa in a little bit of a less stimulating environment. So they can still get their picture taken with Santa, but again, just with the less stimulation of something like a mall with the lights and the noise and yeah.
It's a real Santa.
It is absolutely, it's a real
Okay.
Santa. It's right from the North Pole.
Doug, yes.
I personally think this is a great idea. Is there a reason why we only do it one day though?
So in previous years, we would do it for a couple hours in 2 days, like over the span of a couple weekends. We did partner with the mall at that time and ended it there. After COVID, there were some challenges. So that's why we worked with the county in the last couple of years. As a result, we're just trying it out to see what kind of interest we get this year. And then we're hoping that next year, if we do get some great interest, then we'll look at expanding it next year.
My only concern with that, obviously, when it's a one date, it's a one-time shot, and obviously it's a busy time in people's lives. And as we also know as well, is that children with all the best of ideas may not be well that morning in their own minds. And because of that, the possibility of the parental or whoever it is that's going to take them may not have that opportunity. And I would just like to see this happen more than once, or an opportunity for it to happen more than once.
Absolutely. Through the chair, just to answer, just to kind of add to that. So the county is, from what we understand, they are also doing it as well. So staff, our children that are in Brantford are still eligible to go to the county as well. And I believe our understanding is they're doing it on a different day. So if this day doesn't work, there still may be another opportunity for them to do it with the county. Yeah.
And just one last question. How are we bringing this to the public so they know?
We'll be, through the chair, we'll be working with the communications department and promoting it through like our city social media sites, City of Brantford website, as well as posters and things like that can be put out.
Okay, perfect.
Yes, Madison.
So speaking for the local community with hearing sensitivity in stimulation, overstimulation, would this be held the same as Santa that you go in through the lobby and then it's in the hallway that cuts down the echo of the sound? Is that the plan?
Yes, through the chair. So it'll be, they have their big Christmas tree that they kind of put in the lot. Yeah, so not in the front foyer, down the hall a little bit more. Yes, absolutely.
That is a real treat to some that get overstimulated. Yes.
Just one more question while I'm thinking about it. Does Santa Claus know sign language?
Through the chair,
Right, good
I would
question.
have to look. We actually enlisted a new Santa this year, but he does come with some good qualifications, and he does work, has worked with children in this situation similar with. So I'm not sure if he does sign language. I'd have to look into that.
Any further discussion on our sensitive Santa? No? All those in favor? And are there any opposed? I would hope not. Thank you, that is carried. 5.2, Brantford Accessibility Advisory Committee. Just the minutes from May 9th, 2024. Everyone received a copy of the minutes from the last meeting. Any discussion on that? All those in favor? Any opposed? And that is carried. Moving on to number 6, resolutions. There are no resolutions, so we will move on to number 7, notices of motion. And once again, we have no notices of motion, no resolutions. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for coming. Very good.